It's David here. The channel's going to be taken over by me soon anyway, according to Paul Flores, so I'm looking forward to that when that happens. Today we're going to be doing a nice little video of our favorite...
underrated movies.
Yeah, underrated, underknown, underappreciated, not necessarily obscure, although like a couple of his picks are pretty obscure. But just sort of movies that are not super popular, that we really enjoy, and that I think people should seek out. Some of them are also like really personal to me, like if you get these movies, if you see them and you get the humor or get the sort of spirit behind them, you'll understand me a little better. So basically, AKA not Star Wars or superhero movies is what this list is. Let's be honest, people, we could sit here and recommend like our favorite Marvel movie or Star Wars movie, and I'm sure that'll get more clicks, but no one's going to find that interesting, right? There's a million idiots on the internet talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get anyone talking about tape directed by
exactly. So I guess we'll start off with our honorable mentions. It was hard to rank these, so I'm just going to do both my honorable mentions and the main list in alphabetical order because kind of love them all equally. We have a movie that everybody, no matter their age, seemed to have loved it when I showed it to them. So this is a great little movie from a guy who hadn't directed anything for like 10 years after it. I was waiting. I loved this movie so much. I was like, when is this dude gonna make another movie? He didn't make another one until that Greyhound movie with Tom Hanks. It took him 11 years to make another movie. But anyway, really appreciated this movie. Really like it. It's basically about a guy who plans his own funeral. He's old. He knows he's gonna die soon. He's like a weird hermit in the town. Yeah, basically starts making arrangements for his own death. And like nobody cares about him, nobody likes him, and the town doesn't kind of know what to make of him. And you find out he's got a history and whatever. I don't want to spoil anything. It's really good. Recommend it. My favorite Harold Ramis movie. It's one of his ones that he's not super well known for, obviously. This came out in 2005. It's called The Ice Harvest. It's a film noir dark comedy.
Kino Lorber Blu-ray?
Yes, this just came out recently on Blu-ray. I've had the DVD for ages. This is a great dark comedy film noir movie. Very funny to me. There's a scene where Billy Bob Thornton is afraid he's going to die and he starts doing the Our Father prayer, but he doesn't know the words. And this is a Blu-ray that's out of print. We should have put this on our out of print video. This is a movie that I didn't know what to make of when I was younger. This came out in '99. This was Luc Besson. He's canceled now. Well, not really. He just made a movie, that movie Anna. Oh, yeah. But he made that in Europe. I guess Europeans don't care if you're a sex pervert. They'll still work with you. In America, we don't tolerate the sex perverts. And you have to edit that out. Anyway, this was Luc Besson's next movie he made after The Fifth Element, right? Fifth Element was huge. We all loved it, at least us who have good taste. And I was like, Luc Besson, this guy's great. When's he going to do another movie? This was the next one. It was weird, but it was like sort of the first weird movie I liked as a teenager. It's got some really good battles. They even hold up now. And unfortunately, this lovely little Blu-ray that Sony put out is now out of print. People want like $50 for a used copy. If you like those big epic Lord of the Rings, Troy type battles, give this a shot. The only horror movie that Pedro Almodovar has made.
That's a horror movie?
This is a horror movie, dude.
Okay.
He doesn't make horror, and it's okay. That's why this is so good. So this is a horror movie made by a guy who doesn't make horror movies. This movie is so weird. I can't tell if it's weird on purpose or if it's weird because he doesn't do horror movies, but the kind of horror that's in this movie to me was extremely disturbing because it's so weird and uncomfortable. And I don't want to say anything about the story. Trust me, the more you learn as the story goes on, you're just like, oh, this is, oh God, this is creepy. This is what you get when a guy who does romance movies tries a horror movie. You get something really unique. Like
it doesn't look like a horror movie at all.
No, that's why it took me, I didn't see this until a couple of years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago is when I first saw it.
And this is a foreign film,
and
right?
It knocked me on my booty.
And
I mean, all of his films are foreign film. He's a filmmaker from Spain, so. Oh. For those of you who know how to read, I recommend this movie.
I will watch it sometime.
I loved what Bong Joon-ho said when he won the Oscar. If you learn to overcome the 2-inch barrier of subtitles, it will open up a whole new world of cinema for you. It's such a small barrier, folks. We all read, right? You're on your phone all day. I know you're not just looking at Instagram. You're also reading text messages, right? You're reading the comments under Pornhub videos. You know, do you ever read those? They're hilarious, man.
No. That
is some of the best comedy on earth. These people who are super serious about their porn. Like, it's so funny. A movie that I'm sure everyone knows because it's directed by George Lucas, right? But I want to give this a shout out just because not a lot of people have seen it. Everyone has seen George Lucas's other films.
Like what?
Some space battle movie. I forgot what it's called. Anyway, highly recommend this if you haven't seen it.
Hold on, of what movies? Okay.
The reason why I think THX 1138 is such an oddity and a weird movie to see is because it shows you what George Lucas, what his career would have been if Star Wars wasn't a huge success. Like, he even has personally said these are the kind of movies he wanted to make.
This is his first film?
Yes. He made a little short film in college called THX 1138, and so his first real movie was a feature-length version of that story. I think the only version you can get on Blu-ray is the one where like he added computer effects. George Lucas just can't help himself with that.
Jesus Christ, he even did it with this?
Yes, but it's not as intrusive, and it doesn't really change things. He just sort of augments the backgrounds. It's not crazy. It's not like somebody shooting first who's not supposed to shoot first, and they're not changing dialogue. It's just sort of like digital effects he would have done if he had the technology at the time. It's a great dystopian movie about like control. It's very like, you know, Orwell-esque about sort of keeping people's emotions in check and the system controlling you. And he's the guy who sort of breaks out of that cycle. And so the system is of course, terrified of him because they don't want people to actually feel real emotions and be people.
So, like, the director's cut means it's the George Lucas version?
Yes. Like, I think he put in...
Literally?
There's no, like, tweaks that change
so it's
character development or anything like that.
So it's not bad, or do you think the other one's way better?
I've seen both versions. I just prefer this one because it's better to look at because of the better updated effects, even though they kind of stand out because everything else is very 70s looking, and then you have computer effects mixed in, which is like, okay, that doesn't match very well. But the story and the filmmaking here is so good that, you know, I'm not going to complain. Whatever version we get on Blu-ray is a good thing in my opinion. It's a weird indie art film, and that's why no one's seen it and nobody cares about it, nobody talks about it, you know, despite it's the godfather of blockbusters who directed it. You watch this movie and you kind of, it's great, but you also get a little bit sad because you're just like, man, imagine the career he could have had. If he was like coming up now, he would be a guy working for A24, you know what I mean? Making weird sci-fi movies for them. It's not up everyone's alley, but you won't see anything like it. I guarantee you that. All right, what's Label's honorable mentions?
Okay, I have 3 honorable mentions.
Just 3?
Yeah, just 3.
Bro, I did 5.
Well, I would
You need
have...
to step your honorable mention game up, bro. That's not enough honorable mentions. This is dishonorable. Go ahead.
Well, you're right, though. You're right.
This one I only saw once, and I know I like it.
How could you have only seen this one once?
Because I never... That's why you're giving me a copy, because I don't own it. So that's why I only saw it once. I rented it back from the days when Netflix would send you DVDs in the mail. So yeah, I've been wanting to watch it again, but I never owned it. So thank you for giving me a copy. Now I own it.
Okay. True.
Now my life is complete, Label.
Yeah, your life
You complete me.
The hands of time, they hold strong, like a love that keeps hanging on.
Like, you know, it's like the yin-yang, but like one is retarded and one's a normal person. You know, so you bring in that retarded piece and you balance things out. You know? Like, you got a dumb guy and a smart guy. They cancel each other out. You know, you got a handsome guy and an ugly guy. They cancel each other out. I hope people know I'm joking when I make jokes about how attractive I am. Obviously, I'm not. That's the joke, but some people take it seriously.
We're just a couple of fat, ugly, autistic retards talking about Blu-rays.
Exactly. I assume the joke was obvious.
This movie is a film that's only out on DVD, and it's by a director who's only directed 2 films, and people have called him the next Kubrick. Just people talked him up so much, it's like, I wouldn't go that far. He directed 2 films.
But then... he had a mental breakdown. Oh man, R.I.P. to his career. Maybe he does have psychological issues, and so I feel bad laughing about it, but it's like, he kind of canceled himself just by his behavior. But if he can't control his behavior, if he genuinely needs help, I hope he gets help. We love you, dude. You're a good filmmaker. Please get help. Or maybe he's just being an asshole. That's what I can't tell. Is he just being an asshole, or does he actually need help?
He released his script for Topiary and The Modern Ocean. Yep. I'm thinking about getting a budget together and making the damn things myself.
That reminds me, I want to talk to you later about like the kind of movie I think you should make. I have a great idea.
Interesting.
Yeah, but you're not going to want to do it.
It's primarily directed by Shane Carruth. It's a time travel movie. It is the most complicated time travel movie ever made.
That might be Tenet now.
I don't know about that.
Tenet made perfect sense to me the first time I saw it. I'm like, this is great.
Bullshit. There's no way you got it.
There was like 1 or 2 scenes where I was a little disoriented, but that was on purpose. But like the overall story, it made sense to me. I didn't understand everything.
How could you have gotten it the first time?
Nolan's thought process and his style just makes sense to me. Okay. And apparently a lot of other people. I mean, that's why he's so popular. But
see if you can get this on the first watch.
Well, I did.
Nobody can.
I did.
You understood the whole thing on the first watch. Bullshit. There's no way.
I understood the main concept of what he's trying to do, but I'm sure there's a lot of little things I'll notice on the second watch now that I know how it ends. You haven't seen
this since 2006, though.
Yeah, but see, it's made a lasting impression. How many movies, can you think of that you saw 15 years ago and you remember it?
Definitely not for everybody. Like, I'd only really recommend this if you're a movie buff. There's a lot of cool filmmaking techniques that he used, with a low budget. And I'm all about indie movies. Yeah. Like, I love independent films. It's what I want to do is make my own independent film. I think that full movie's on YouTube for free to watch. And also the commentary track is on YouTube for free to watch. The commentary track's really interesting. Budget of $7,000, which is crazy that it was made for that.
It's like Tenet made on a made on a shoestring budget.
Okay, the next movie up is a pretty underrated movie.
People hate this movie. People call this movie garbage. They say it's terrible. It's like Crash. I'm like, first of all, I like Crash. People hate this movie, and I don't understand why.
It's called Disconnect, and it's starring Jason Bateman in a serious role. It's basically 3 different stories that kind of connect with each other. I really like the filmmaking in this. The cinematography was unique. Kind of like a induced documentary style, like Friedkin always talks about.
Yeah, a lot of handheld camera stuff in there, very documentary feel. And it gives a real immediacy to the emotion, because it's a really high stakes emotion kind of movie. You know, like that scene where Jason Bateman confronts the dude in his house through the screen door.
Yes.
You're like, oh, gee, this is going to escalate. That's what I think handheld is good at. It's not good for fight scenes. I know a lot of people like to use it for fight scenes, and I don't know why directors still do that. We all complain about it. Like, stop with the shaky cam. That doesn't work for action. It works good for, like, real intense emotion. Basically, a lot of people make fun of this movie the same way they make fun of men, women, and children. Like, oh, it's a movie just saying internet bad, ha ha ha. But it's like, not really. And that's the thing that bothers me when people say, oh, the internet is complaining, or the internet does this, or oh, the internet's so funny. What you mean is people. The internet is not its own entity, right? This movie's about how the internet affects human beings and affects people's relationships and interconnected lives.
I don't get why people hate Crash.
I think because they watched it 10 years later. I think I saw that in theaters in 2005 when it came out, and like it was like a full house when I saw it at like a Friday night, and everyone in the theater was like really emotionally impacted by that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Okay, my last honorable mention, it is Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, which is the last film by a great filmmaker by the name of Sidney Lumet, who directed 12 Angry Men in the 50s, which is one of my favorite movies probably, and then this was his last movie. I got the Shout Select Blu-ray right here. Really good release.
If I had to describe this movie in one word, it would just be sleazy. People in this movie are such scumbags. Adam Sandler, his character from Uncut Gems, was like...
That's what I was thinking.
If there was 2 of them and they were brothers, that's what this movie is. Just total scumbag characters, which are fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's my boy. There's not many fat guys who are known as being great actors. You know, we got Marlon Brando and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Marlon Brando's not fat.
He wasn't fat when he was younger, but as soon as he discovered ice cream... You know, somebody asked him that once. They're like, don't you want to keep acting? He's like, no, I just like eating ice cream all day. I'd rather do that. Yeah. I was like, that's my boy. Me too, brother. I wish I could quit my job and just eat ice cream all day.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Like you said, it's very stress-inducing, like Uncut Gems was.
Yeah, and I really...
Where you're just like, ugh. The movie, that's my review is, ugh.
Yeah, and I really like the editing of this movie. Like it begins like with like the main thing that happens that drives the whole rest of the movie. Then it goes back and forth into the past and future.
Have you listened to the commentary?
No, I haven't.
Okay, the commentary starts with the scene. The movie starts with the sex scene.
Yeah,
basically. So it's Sidney Lumet and I think Philip Seymour Hoffman on the commentary, and it goes, "Hi, I'm Sidney Lumet. This is Phil with me, and this is Phil's ass." That's how the commentary starts. That's why I love listening to commentaries. You know, there's a commentary that I listen to more than any other one, which is the 2 commentaries on the very first DVD for Saw. That was the first time where I'd listen to a commentary where I felt like those dudes were like me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, these are just young horror fans like me. Like, it was such a fascinating thing to listen to that commentary back in the day.
The way they were talking, it's like they
were so enthusiastic.
Yeah, they're so enthusiastic about it. They're talking like they're kids, you know?
Yes.
Which they were kids.
And I was a kid when I listened to that commentary, and I loved it. I'm like, that's me. Everyone feels like they discovered Paul Giamatti in Sideways. I discovered Paul Giamatti in this movie, American Splendor. Sadly, this didn't really play in theaters. It was an HBO movie. It is great. It's about this guy, Harvey Pekar, who's like a comic book artist, but he doesn't do traditional comic books. He makes comic books about his normal life in Cleveland, Ohio, just being a file clerk. The kind of sense of humor that's in this movie is the kind that really appeals to me. Dark, but not too dark. But he's a very sort of angry, agitated guy who just like is annoyed with everyone and thinks everyone's stupid, but he's no Peach himself. And so he's just sort of fed up with the kind of kitschy things that everyone likes and everyone thinks is cute and funny. He's just like, this is also stupid. Everyone's stupid. Like, this is all garbage. Like, I could write a comic book about my life and it'll be more interesting than this crap. It's a great biopic. They actually use real footage of the real guy. It's just a wonderful movie about a cynical man that I relate to deeply, and it really made me laugh. I have a slipcover for that.
I know, I didn't bring the slipcovers because I didn't want
to. You didn't want to get all banged up.
Yeah.
Wow, look at you taking care of your stuff finally. Welcome to the club. Maybe one day you'll have a shelf full of movies that look nice instead of some garbage basement in Indiana that's probably going to flood.
I didn't rank them. I didn't put them alphabetically. I just threw them together. And first up on my underrated movie list is a film called Cloud Atlas, which in my opinion is a modern-day masterpiece. It's a very complex movie. It's 6 stories. One of them takes place in the 1800s, the other one in the 1930s, the other one in the 70s, one in modern day, one in the future, like 1,000 years in the future, and then another one that's in like the mega future. That's
dystopian
like
future?
Yeah, the dystopian future, like thousands of years after that. And so it's like every kind of genre of movie that you could imagine. It's like an old-time movie, you know, from the 1800s, and it's a big sci-fi movie. It's a espionage thriller. It's a comedy. Like, it's like each one is a different genre. People saw it, you know, when it first came out, and, you know, like, they found it, you know, incomprehensible, and, you know, they didn't like it.
That's the kind of movie like your normie aunt would be like, that movie was weird.
Yeah.
That's just a weird movie.
Yeah.
Like, again, if you're a film nerd...
It's not even that weird.
Like, I don't particularly love this movie. I really like it. I think it's kind of a mess, but it's like a glorious, wonderful, ambitious mess. It's made with a lot of sincerity and a lot of heart.
The Wachowskis directed the 1800s storyline for some reason, and then, of course, they directed the 2 future ones. And so they directed all the sci-fi stuff. And then the Tom Tweaker...
It's German, so you say Tigver.
He directed the rest of the movie. And it's big on the reincarnation concept. All of the cast plays 6 different people. What you do, you know, like way in the past, or like something you do can influence something thousands of years from now, and you just don't know it. That concept is like throughout this whole movie, and like all the stories like tie in with one another.
Just sort of big, grand scale. It's the kind of movie where, like, I'm shocked that they got a budget this big to make a movie like this. But it's a huge blockbuster budget level independent movie, which makes it just such a, it's kind of like THX 1138. It's just such a weird oddity. Like, there's not many movies like this.
Yes.
And there won't be many like it.
This is the most like one of the top most expensive independent films
I think it still is.
And there's a great cast. Hugo Weaving, Halle Berry, Tom Hanks, Hugh Grant.
Some people are trying to like retroactively cancel this movie because of like, there's actors in yellowface. It's like, yeah, but there's actors of every race playing every other race. Like, that's kind of the whole point of the movie, is that we're all one, we're all just people, human beings.
It tackled every single genre, like, just very well.
The sci-fi stuff is so well done. The sort of prehistoric stuff is all well done. Yeah, it's just an all-around great movie. It's a movie that's fairly recent. I really love it, and it's what I call a perfect movie. There's not many. It's just a perfect movie in terms of, like, the pace, the structure, the story, the entertainment value. It has something important to say. Yeah, it's just so well paced. Like, there's not one wasted second in this movie. Blind spotting. I love what it has to say about friendship, especially when you're friends. I know growing up in the south side of Chicago, I can relate to having friends that are a very different race than you and have had a very different life experience, but you're still friends. The main plot is basically a guy who's on his last day of parole or last week of parole. He's trying not to get in trouble, but his friend is kind of a lughead, kind of an idiot, gets into trouble, and it's all about him sort of navigating that, trying not to get in trouble. It has a lot to say about, again, culture and race and society. And it's just so well paced and edited.
Back to the Future, did you say that's perfect?
The first one, yeah. A lot of people haven't seen this movie. It didn't make a lot of money when it came out. It was indie film. I was hoping for some Oscar love. It didn't get it.
Next up is a film that I've watched for the first time, like, when I was in high school, and I fell in love with it. It's a film that I really relate to. I relate a lot to the main character, except I don't really want to shoot anybody.
Only with a camera.
Yeah, only with the camera. Yeah. Okay, so I do want to shoot people, like I'm shooting you right now.
I'm going to take that audio clip out of context and go to the police with it. I don't know anything about this movie.
It's on Amazon Prime as of right now. It's called The Dirties.
Is there a reason why the cover is an homage to Magnolia?
Yeah, okay. It's about 2 film enthusiasts who are in high school. And this movie's very, like, cheaply shot. It's literally like a long Alex Leba video. Okay. Except there's no color grading or
You're not really selling me on the film by calling it that. By comparing it to your stuff. That doesn't make me want to see it.
The main character, Matt, is kind of like me. My friends are like, Leba, everything is a video with you. Everything is a shot. There's one point in this movie to where the kid's talking like, oh, you know, like, we should do a shot towards, like, this shot in The Usual Suspects or whatever. And then, you know, his friend's like, shut up. Everything is a movie with you. Everything is a shot. Like, some film that you're making that I'm not making.
There's been several times where I've hang out with him and I'll say something funny or weird, like I talk a lot, and he'll be like, oh, say that again. I got to get it on camera. I'm like, I don't remember what I said. I say stuff.
I honestly thought that it was like, you know, just only like 3 people on a camera, but like, you know, there's a little more behind it than that. They're making a short film for their class, like a film noir about them killing this gang at their school called the Dirties. This one kid's like so like into films, and what if we went into school and, you know, shot, you know, the bad guys? And he's like, that's what we did. He goes, no, but like, what if we
actually went with real guns and actually killed only the bad guys, but we just blew them away, all on camera? Oh, that's funny. And the key is going to be making sure that everybody knows we're just there to get the bad guys. And we can wear shirts that are like, we're just here for the bad guys. We have a megaphone. It's like, everybody, don't worry. I know we look dangerous, and we are, but we're not here to kill anybody who didn't bully us. If you bullied us, holy shit, you should be scared, because we are actually going to kill you.
Is it a comedy or like a dark drama?
It's labeled under drama, but it's a comedy.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of movie references and stuff like that. This Blu-ray is very rare. I have number 141 out of 150. If you guys are familiar with YMS, you probably know who Matt Johnson is. He directed a film after this called Operation Avalanche, and he did Nirvana the Band The Show, which is phenomenal. You all should check it out. But I assume if a lot of you are YMS fans, you know who Matt Johnson is.
I have a side note. I love the uniqueness of YMS's voice. I give it a 7 out of 10. Check it out. I love his little weird Canadian voice.
Why do you insist that I go to the theater to see pieces of shit?
This movie's a piece of shit. You want to know what Kevin Smith's next movie is gonna be? A piece of shit. Let's stop seeing pieces of shit. Let's stop suggesting that I go to theaters and see pieces of shit.
But yeah, this Blu-ray, has a bunch of special features on it. No.
It's a DVD, or it is a Blu-ray.
There's a Blu-ray disc right here, and it's like the disc of the movie that they made in the movie.
Oh, okay.
See, and then there's 2 DVD discs with all the special features on it.
That's pretty cool.
All the covers were like rip-offs of popular movies. This one's Magnolia. It's a great friendship movie. Definitely not for everyone, but it's a movie that I really like.
I feel a little intimidated, like we're being watched. Like, I have this on the shelf that's visible, and it looks like Harrison Ford has been judging us this whole time.
You guys need to stop eating.
Look at these 2 fat fucks.
For the last time, I don't want to talk about Star Wars. I don't care about Han Solo. I don't care who shot first. I'm old. I swear to God, you dumb kids better not say anything bad about any of my movies.
Next up, we have a movie called...
Wait, I thought we were taking turns. This is one of like a handful of movies where I feel like it was made specifically for me. Whoever made this movie understands me as a human being.
This movie, The Dirties.
Okay. The Brass Teapot. This movie's a metaphor about how people who love each other, who are in a relationship, know how to hurt each other more than anyone else knows how to hurt you. And this is an indie film put out by Magnolia Pictures, so not a big budget, not a big advertising campaign.
They put out a lot of movies.
Yeah, they do, and that's why a lot of them are just junk, right? But some of them are like little gems like this. It's kind of a comedy, but it's a dark comedy, modern fantasy movie. It's about this couple who find a brass teapot. If you hurt each other, money comes out the pot. So if you smash your girlfriend's hand with a hammer, a lot of money will come out. The more you hurt each other, the more money comes out of this teapot. And they find out causing emotional pain to each other is far worse and gives them far more money. So the things they start doing to each other is incredibly emotionally painful. It's about like how far do you go? And again, with any good relationship problem movie, it sort of really gets to the heart of the matter. What's the real issue in this relationship? What's really the problem here? What goes on in the story sort of reveals what their real problems are. And I just love it. They're like a newly married couple, and they're poor. They're broke as hell. That's sort of the big thing too, is they're broke. Yeah, it's also a little bit about the thing about once you're poor and you actually start making money.
Juno Temple from Killer Joe.
Yes. Juno Temple, she's adorable. Short girls are just cute. I don't know why.
Yeah, she's adorable. Especially in Killer Joe.
You pervert. That's the one movie I didn't find her attractive in. It was just nasty.
She was a cute blonde. What the hell do you mean nasty?
I don't like blondes. Blonde hair in general, just like, Black hair.
Okay.
Boner.
So next up, we got a movie that I watched for the first time recently. Fell in love with it. It's definitely my kind of movie. The Man from Earth.
Aren't all men from Earth? Where else would a man come from?
I talked about this a lot in the movie night video I did with Cinecreep. Link down below. Do you know what it's about?
No. Please tell me. Or do I have to wait? Do you want me to leave the room and then I'll wait till you edit this video in 7 months?
No.
I have to wait 3 years from now when this actually gets uploaded?
No.
I'll be dead by then. I'll be like completely bald by the time this video...
It would be at least 1 year. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Go watch
Son of a bitch. Just give me a brief synopsis.
Screw it. Okay, so it's about, because I do want people to go check it out, and I'm pretty sure it's still available on YouTube to watch for free. Someone just uploaded the whole damn movie. So,
I would never watch a movie that way. Unless I was poor.
No. You can with this, because it was shot with shitty DV cameras.
But
so
the audio quality.
The audio's fine.
Does this have lossless audio? Yes, it does. It has uncompressed audio, so anything you watch streaming, the audio is going to be compressed and sound terrible. If you're just watching on TV speakers, that's fine, but I have a big fancy home theater, and you can really tell the difference when the audio quality is not up to par.
whatever. This Blu-ray I got is autographed by the whole cast. Not the whole cast.
Wow.
Not the main character. I'd love if it was autographed by him, and not Tony Todd.
Oh, that's the
But
guy
we have-
who likes candy.
Yeah, it's autographed by the director, which is pretty awesome, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 cast members.
Did you meet them and that's how you got that autograph? Or you
No,
bought it
I
autographed?
bought it off eBay.
Okay.
Because I wanted to buy the Blu-ray anyway, and then I saw it on eBay, and I thought, I gotta buy that,
Yeah.
you know. I love the movie, and this like literally the most definitive edition that probably exists for it. There's 2 Blu-rays for it.
Yeah, I know there's one that's crappy.
Yeah, there's one that's a crappy Blu-ray with no special features, and there's this one, which is great. The concept behind it is brilliant. It's written by a man named Jerome Bigsby, who is one of the writers of the original Star Trek series. He came up with the idea for the script in the 1940s. With better talent involved with making it, then it could have been so much better. But, like, the script is incredible.
What do you think you're going to do on your deathbed?
I don't know. Probably eat ice cream or some
I'll just
shit.
shit myself and die. That's what I'm gonna do. That'll be my last ounce of energy. Just gonna go to like farting. But I'm gonna do it right before I die, so they know that I did it on purpose. Just to like, now you have a mess to clean up. If the nurse is mean to me, that's what I'll do. If she's nice, I'll poop after I die. Then they'll be like, well, either way they're gonna have to clean up the poop. But like, if they're assholes, I want them to know that I pooped on purpose.
Why do you think about shit like this? It was shot on DV cameras.
You're not really selling these movies well.
And then also...
This movie's shitty. It's like my channel. That's gonna make no one want to watch these movies.
No, but like the script is one of the best scripts ever written.
No, I hear that's the whole
Yeah, and like
the
it's
idea of the film.
Yeah, and like what YMS said, he said like that it's like so dialogue based anyway. So like the whole thing's
It don't need to look
so
fancy.
Yeah, so like doesn't really matter that like the movie, you know, doesn't look the best and like, but the acting's very cheesy. They got, you know, TV
Is that why
actors.
Dalton doesn't brush his teeth? Because he's like, I'm already ugly. What does it matter? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great example. Like he's such a stupid, fat, ugly piece of shit
Yeah.
that he doesn't. You
like
know.
why would I brush my? It's not like I'm gonna get laid.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I think it's definitely one of the best scripts ever written, honestly.
Can you tell me what is the gist of the story he sits down and tells them, or is that a spoiler?
It's about his whole life.
Okay.
And it's very profound. And, like, you can tell that it's a really, really smart person who wrote it, who knows a lot about the world.
It's a movie that inspired one of my favorite directors, Jason Reitman. Somebody told him that's the kind of movie that I think you'd be good at making, and I can see why. So this is by a director I like a lot. Earlier we mentioned Sideways, from the guy who directed that, Alexander Payne. And it is his first movie, one of my favorite comedies of all time, Citizen Ruth.
Citizen Ruth.
So this is not really a movie I can relate to, about a woman she's kind of a dirtbag, druggy loser. She's like Leba. Really dumb, no political ideology at all, right? Doesn't know anything, doesn't care about any of that stuff. It's just like, you know, I'm just doing my thing, living my life, doing drugs, huffing paint by a dumpster.
Not that part.
No, you don't do drugs. You're way too much of a square to ever. You wouldn't even, like, you're afraid to even touch marijuana.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is drive an hour into my state and it's legal here, buddy. She gets pregnant. She wants to have an abortion because, I mean, she can't take care of a kid, right? The movie has a lot to say about America and American politics, basically. It's just like an idiot caught in the middle of this, like, culture war.
I love Nebraska, but I haven't seen too many other Alex Payne movies. I like Sideways.
He's so good. Sadly, I don't think he's gonna get to make any more movies because his last movie didn't make money. And then right after that, recently, he got accused of being a sex pervert. So I think his career might be over.
Jesus Christ.
Why? What is it with these dudes? Stop being sex perverts. Just don't be a creep. How is that so hard? Like, I'll tell you, the one time I had one of my exes, the first time, like, I had sex with her, or, like, was in that position, she was, like, annoyed by how I was not going to make the move, because I'm just like, I think this girl wants to fuck me. I don't know for sure if she wants to fuck me. I'm like, I'm getting vibes that she wants me to put it in. I'm like I was just afraid. I'm like, what if she's like, what are you doing? This is sexual assault. So she got so annoyed. She's like, oh my God, do I have to tell you to do everything? Just make a move already. I'm like, sorry, I was just trying to be like, you know, I don't want to like misread things and get canceled, you know. How hard is it just to be careful? Think before you do stuff. There's a part that I relate to personally is about the religious part. Just like Chris Stuckman, I was raised in the same horrible, I don't want to offend anybody, I was raised in the same unpleasant religion and had the similar unpleasant experiences he had.
I think a lot of people know of this movie because of Josh. It's a film called Mean Creek. It's an independent coming-of-age flick that came out in 2004, and it's starring Rory Culkin, right after he did Signs, Josh Peck, and he's, you know, fat shit Josh, you know, right before Drake and Josh started.
Is that why you relate to this movie?
No, I don't. I didn't even say I relate to this movie. I mean, I relate to him being a fat shit, but not the character. Very realistic. Great child acting in this by the teenage kids. You know, it's very authentic and feels real. I love indie films and I love coming of age stories, and that was phenomenal. Kind of anticlimactic though. I kind of wish there was like 10 more minutes to flesh out what ended up happening.
So I have a funny little story about this movie. I showed this to my sister and her boyfriend at the time, because I always forced a lot of movies upon them that they normally wouldn't watch or wouldn't want to watch, and they're just like roll their eyes like, oh god, well, I'm like, you guys got to see this, and I think most of the time they're begrudgingly agreeing to watch movies with me. I try harder now to make sure it's movies they're interested in, but I forced this movie upon them, and afterwards they were just like, damn, this was great. They're like, dude, why don't you recommend more movies like this? I'm like, because my friends, they don't make many movies like this. God Bless America. It's directed by Bobcat Goldthwait.
His name is Bobcat?
Yeah. You know, when I was a kid, I thought that that's what his normal voice was the voice he did. I was like, oh, is he like a weird foreign guy and that's how he really talks? Apparently he's just a normal person. His stand-up comedy was just always in that weird voice. I'm like, oh, he's playing a character. Like, okay. I was too young to sort of understand it was a joke. Like, his whole persona is a joke. Kind of like Dirty Dale, you know.
What do you mean?
Like, just doing a weird comedic voice.
Yeah, like that is his normal voice. He's like that all the time in life, you know, like he sleeps in the fedora, you know, wears the sunglasses, you know, and mask, and gauges every word.
Even when he's doing sex?
Yeah.
Do you like this penis? He does that when he's making love? Okay.
This is my destiny!
I don't know what kind of lady would want to put up with that.
I don't know either.
The reason I love this movie, its sense of humor is so dark and twisted. Like, I'll give you an example. The movie starts, a guy gets annoyed with somebody, busts in their apartment with a shotgun. The guy holds up his baby, like, don't shoot it. And then the baby explodes from her shotgun blast.
What the fuck? What?
And I was like, I'm sold already. It's kind of like a satirical version of Falling Down, except the guy's not, like, angry.
Falling Down is one of my favorite movies.
So it's basically like a comedy version of Falling Down where he's just annoyed with everyone.
Falling Down is a comedy.
Could be.
It is. It's funnier.
I don't think it was
hell.
meant to be when it first came out. Him and this girl who team up because they realize they all hate the same people. Yeah, he's going around killing everyone they don't like. People who are annoying or way too into their political views or are just assholes. If you're rude, if you talk in a movie theater, he'll shoot you. My dream.
I need to see this damn thing.
It is so good, dude.
Next up is one of my favorite movies, personally. It's directed by my favorite director and my top 3 favorite directors. It's tied with Friedkin, Linklater, and Tarantino. Those are my 3 favorite directors. They're tied. I cannot pick a number 1, but it's Waking Life.
We could be doing videos every week if you lived here.
Can I move in with you? Can I move in with you?
I have a spare bedroom, but then my neighbors are gonna think we're like a gay married couple.
So?
I wouldn't mind people thinking I'm gay. I just wouldn't want them thinking that I'm having sex with you. If you were like a handsome guy, I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't mind if people think I was having sex with this guy. 5 years ago, I had a good week. But yeah, I wouldn't want anyone thinking that we're a couple. That would just be embarrassing.
This movie was shot on crappy DV cameras, but they animated over it using an animation technique called rotoscoping, and it gave the movie a very unique look. It's animated, but not animated at the same time. So they basically traced it. It was edited on Final Cut Pro, what I used to edit my videos. And
can you name any other movies that are like that, other than Scanner Darkly?
No.
There's one other one. It's actually really good.
What is it?
It's called Renaissance. It's a French movie. It's like a Sin City film noir crime movie, and it's done with the rotoscope thing. It's more CG looking.
Okay.
This is more like hand animated looking.
Yeah. There's so many, profound conversations in this, that are, very thought-provoking.
Philosophical?
Yeah. Great music, too. There's no, story or plot to it. If you guys like the Before trilogy, there's a scene in this to where the 2 characters from the Before trilogy, Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, have a scene together.
My next movie is another one that's just got that very weird, dark, cynical, misanthropic sense of humor that I'm really drawn to. Lonesome Jim. About a guy who goes back to his little hometown in Indiana, where he grew up after being away for so long. He's a loser, right? So he comes back and he's kind of embarrassed that he's done nothing with his life. Feels shitty. He hates everybody, hates his life. There's a great scene where he smokes weed with somebody. He smokes it and he's like, oh, damn. And the guy's like, yeah, that's good shit, right? Yeah, I put a little crack in it. And he's like, what? But the guy's dead serious who said I put crack in it. Like, it wasn't a joke. There's a scene where you see his butt cheeks clench up. And his little sister walks by. She's like, why are you... So funny. I think this was also probably shot on like DV camera. It has that very weird like lo-fi look to it.
Okay, next up is a film called Tape, another film directed by Richard Linklater, and the whole thing takes place in one room. I've talked about this a lot of times, but it's starring three people: Ethan Hawke, Robert Sean Leonard, and Uma Thurman, and it's about two high school buddies who have a long conversation in this motel room, and then like things start to escalate. Brilliant script. I love movies like this. It's a movie about like facing things in your past. Years later, could come back and bite you in the ass.
Have you ever bitten anyone's ass?
I don't think so. The whole thing was shot on crappy DV cameras, really crappy DV cameras.
That seems to be a theme with a lot of these movies we're talking about. Is it also very dialogue heavy?
Yeah. The whole movie's nothing but dialogue. Phenomenal, and I'd strongly recommend it. You know, it's the DVD's hard to find.
This is a movie that it didn't make any money. It flopped. The director never really went on to do any more movies. He mostly did Game of Thrones episodes after this. It's a movie I loved, and I was like, oh, everyone's gonna love this movie. Nobody saw it. Nobody cared. Repo Men. Not to be confused with Repo Man, the classic 80s movie. What a Repo Man does, as I'm sure you all know, is comes and repossesses property that you have failed to pay on, right? Like you get a fancy car, you stop making the payments. They're not just going to say, hey, you owe us money. They're just going to come take their car back. The thing that's being repossessed here is not necessarily cars or stereos or TVs. It's your organs. So let's say you get an organ transplant, right? Obviously, you can't afford it if you're poor, right? Our health insurance sucks in this country, right? So you take out a huge loan to pay for that organ. But if you miss your payments, the Repo Man is going to come and take back that property. But what I love about this movie the most is that it's such a critique on corporate greed. And it's just this horrible dystopian America where, like, things are so bad. It's very sort of satirical.
My next pick is a film called Ransom, which is directed by Ron Howard, starring Mel Gibson and Liev Schreiber, Donnie Wahlberg, Gary Sinise, and some other chick kidnap Mel Gibson's kid.
Some random chick.
Yeah, it's a movie that, like, begins kind of generic, but then, like, it's a movie that, like, gets better and better as it progresses. To where, like, halfway through, it like flips the script about like what you'd expect with this kind of movie.
Wow, Mel Gibson's really good at playing angry. Then you realize, oh no, he's actually just a really angry person in general. That wasn't acting. He was just like thinking about his wife that he hates. One of the first movies I saw that I was like actually shot in Chicago. Growing up and even in my teens and early 20s, every movie was like LA or New York, and then it wasn't actually filmed in Chicago. Like I've been to the mall that they shot at here. So weird, so offbeat. The guy who wrote this movie is like being really honest about what it's like to be a man. There's a really good scene where his wife's like, don't forget the tartar sauce or whatever, right? And he's like, tartar sauce, tartar sauce. He's walking to the corner store to get the tartar sauce. You hear him in his internal thoughts, right? He's like, tartar sauce, tartar sauce, tartar sauce. And then he's like standing at the stoplight, right? And there's a woman in front of him in like sweatpants or tights or whatever, like yoga pants. He's staring at her ass. He's like, oh, god damn, I'd like to take a bite out of that. Tartar sauce, tartar sauce. Oh man, I would totally get up in that. And he gets there to pick up the food and they're like, anything else? He's like, nope. And he gets back and she's like, his wife's like, did you get the extra tartar sauce? He's like, oh, they were out. She goes, I don't believe you. So she calls the place. She's like, I'm going to call and see if they're really out of tartar sauce. And it's like, it's just, that's so much what it's like to be a guy. Like, you're trying to concentrate, especially when you're younger. You're trying to concentrate, and all you could think about is, like, booty and stuff. Very dark, twisted sense of humor. This was directed by Gore Verbinski, so he made this little movie in between Pirates 1 and 2. This was the first time I had seen this in a movie, A Living Funeral. So Michael Caine in the movie is diagnosed with cancer. He knows he's going to die. So this is what I would want to do if I knew I was dying. Instead of having a funeral when he dies, he has his funeral while he's alive so he could see all his friends one last time. So basically, it's just about Nicolas Cage being, his character such a loser and an idiot and screws everything up in his life. Such a sad sack character. But there's a lot of things that he does and goes through that's very relatable.
The next film I got up is, in my opinion, a modern-day masterpiece. I love this movie a lot more than a lot of people do.
You just think it's good in terms of filmmaking and storytelling?
Yes, exactly. Precisely. And that is The Place Beyond the Pines. It doesn't give you one movie. It gives you 3 45-minute-long movies. You know, it's starring Ryan Gosling, who robs banks in it. They call him the Moto Bandit.
Did you hear Derek Sanfrance say how he came up with that idea? He just one day was thinking, he was like, if I was robbing banks, how would I do it? Like, logistically, how would I do it and trying to get away with it? And he was like, I would do it on a motorcycle. That way I can get away fast. I don't need a getaway driver. He's like, but then what I would do is park it in like what are those things? A truck?
Yeah.
Whatever, you know.
So basically he was planning to rob a bank, and then instead of robbing the bank, he decided to make a movie about it instead?
Yeah, that's, I think, a much better way to use your brain, to not commit crimes, but to make a movie about crime.
Yeah, just like, the way the story is told is just fantastic. I love the music. I love the way it's shot.
And how could you not be attracted to Eva Mendes?
Just a beautiful 3-part epic. Steve Jobs, a film that made no money, which is very disappointing. I think it's because the Ashton Kutcher one came out too years before this.
What makes this movie great is the script.
Yeah,
the script is phenomenal. The dialogue is just your typical Sorkin rapid fire stuff where it's like, man, I wish I could talk like that. Instead of being like two stuttering idiots. I wish I could be smooth. But I mean, nobody talks like that. That's why it's so fun to watch. It's not natural, but you have to be really talented to write that sort of dialogue.
I love the presentation choice in this movie. It's like 3 really long scenes, really. That
three plays.
That takes place in real time. The first part of it was shot in 16mm film, so you get that really old, grainy look. And then the second
that looks
part
awesome.
was shot on 35mm film. And then the last section of the movie was shot digitally. And then it literally flashes back at one point in the digital. It's where you really get to see the difference.
Yeah. That really helps with the 3-act structure, is the 3 different formats that was shot on.
And it's showing like the progression of, technology and that sort of thing.
I like when modern films shoot in 16mm. One that, like, it's the movie that I think is just okay, but it was shot in 16mm, so it looks awesome, is that movie Carol. And when this movie came out, I was, like, blown away by how, like, I was going in expecting to like it just because Sorkin was hot off of Social Network and The Newsroom on HBO, which is the show he wrote that I really like. So I came into this with super high expectations, and I was still impressed, which is, like, when that happens, that's a rare thing. Another movie directed by Bobcat Goldthwait. Man, you will get canceled if you use the kind of dialogue that's in this movie. You will get canceled as hell. You have to be psychotic to do what Robin Williams does in this movie. So basically, this is a story. It's called The World's Greatest Dad. It's about this guy. He's an English teacher, right, in high school. His son kills himself by accident. Cut off your breathing while you play with yourself. And so this is so twisted. Like, this kid's an asshole. He doesn't listen. He's a total jerk. And then his kid ends up killing himself by an accident. He doesn't want to tell anybody. That's embarrassing, right? He's a failed writer. He wants to be a writer so bad and be recognized for his writing. So what he does is he writes this really elegant, beautiful suicide note and fakes it like, oh, my son left a suicide note. And it ends up becoming a phenomenon because it's so well written. So Robin Williams, it's the first time his character in his life has gotten recognition for his writing. It's the first time a piece of his writing has been popular. Okay. So what does he do? He discovers more of his son's writing and journals. And he's like, I just discovered all these other things my son wrote. Or does he get away with it? Watch the movie and find out, folks. It's excellent. Again, darkly funny. I'm sure that's a theme running through this with my picks. But be warned, it's really offensive. But like, I showed it to my sister, a friend, and they were both like, Jesus, can you talk like this in movies anymore? If you have seen it,
definitely.
You got good taste and you know what's up.
The last movie I got up is a film directed by Sam Raimi, and that is A Simple Plan, a film that doesn't have a Blu-ray release. Sam Raimi is a director who can direct a great movie out of every genre there is.
Like, there's so many directors who kind of just do the same thing. Some of them want to do other things, but that's the only thing they can get made. That's what George Romero, like, he died saying, like, there's so many different kinds of movies I wanted to make, but they would only pay for the horror movies. Those are the only ones I could get made.
Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton and their other friend go out for a walk in the snow in the woods, and they come across a plane. They open the plane. It's filled with duffel bags. They open the duffel bags, and there's a few $1,000,000 in there. They try to decide, like, oh, okay, like, what do we do with this money? Like, what should we do? Should we give it to the police? Should we do this? Do we that? Of course, they decide to try to keep it, and then, stuff goes wrong, and the story goes from there, and, the story's just very well told. You're so interested to see, like, what ends up happening with the characters.
Yeah, that movie's just riveting. I remember when I first saw it, I think I rented it on DVD in, like, the early 2000s.
Yeah.
First time I saw it, and I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just put this movie on. And I was just like, right from the opening, it's just like, damn, it sucks you in.
At Dawn of Dave, add him on Snapchat, and he'll add you back. Same
link in bio, whatever. That's where you can find the link to my OnlyFans as well. In case you want to see my titties, they're on there. So, A Place Beyond the Pines, right? I have a word for that genre or that type of feel I got from that movie. Like you said, epic, which I agree. But it's there's epics like, Lord of the Rings, right? These big, fantasy epics, very visually epic. But that movie is what I call an intimate epic. It's epic.
Yes.
It's epic in its intimacy and scope and scale of human emotion. So, like, whenever I see a movie like that, I'm like, that's an intimate epic. Something like Disconnect is kind of like that too. Where it has this epic emotional feel, but you wouldn't think of that movie as an epic. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Place Beyond the Pines more so just because it takes place over a long period of time.
Yeah.
But it's also just a very intimate film. So yeah, I call those intimate epics. I hope I've coined that phrase. I'm sure somebody thought of this already, but
maybe somebody will do the same thing that people did to me in Darren Bousman's live stream.
Take credit for your
Yeah. And say that they came up with it first, when really I was the one who said that first. I'm the only one in the whole freaking chat who knew what the hell that song title was, and Darren Bousman was like, oh yeah, these other people won. Yeah, here's your free poster. Here's your free poster. Hell, you could have one too.
You're gonna have an aneurysm if you keep it up. Yeah, exactly. And now Laba's dead, and I guess that's the end of the video, and the end of his life and therefore the end of this channel? No, not the end of the channel. You know, I'm going to take it over now that he's dead. So welcome to the David channel. I'll change my last name to Leba just to keep it consistent. So now you're, instead of Alex Leba characters, you're all going to be David Leba characters. How about that? All right. Good video, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some good recommendations. Let us know what you think. If you think you see these movies and you thought they sucked or that they weren't funny, please let me know so I can feel more weird and alienated, that my sense of humor doesn't appeal to everyone else. But yeah, hope you guys get a good recommendation. Let us know if you like the movies. There's definitely some that Leba was on his list that I'm going to watch. Okay, you can stop pretending to be dead now. Oh, I think he might actually be dead. That's interesting. Well, I'm going to go see Spiral now. So wait, you doing the intro or I'm doing the intro?
You're doing the intro.
All right.
Because I don't feel like doing the intro. They're sick of hearing my intros. They've been hearing them for...
That's true. I personally am very sick of your intros.
Why?
So, just because it's you doing them. All right. What up, Alex Leba fans? It's your boy, Kevin Smith, a.k.a. Alex Leba's dad, a.k.a. some random sweaty dude, a.k.a. the guy who's too old to say Jamie Lynn is attractive. People got really pressed about that. I don't know why. It's like, first of all, you don't know how old I am, so whoever made that comment, or there were several people I think commented about that. And also, how the fuck am I supposed to know how old she is? I don't know. I don't know these people. I live in a civilized part of the country. I don't live in some Indiana hick town. I don't know any of those people. I don't hang out with them. I don't know how old they are. I assume she was like 30 just because she was the only one who acted like an adult on the channel. So I have no idea how old she is. Anyway, so again, if you're offended by that, sorry. I'll make sure to verify people's ages before I compliment their looks. All right, so anyway, what we're doing today is